The sound came first, a wet gasp, animal and desperate. Muhammad Ali knelt on the canvas at 4 in the morning, 215 pounds of champion folded forward, hands clutching his midsection. His mouth opened and closed. No air entered. The smell of old leather and sweat hung thick in the Lowe's Angels training gym, but the silence was thicker. Bruce Lee stood 3 feet away, fist still extended at shoulder height, 5'7", 135 pounds, motionless as carved stone. 12 witnesses lined the ropes, frozen. Angelo Dindee's hand hovered near his mouth. Drew Brown's eyes were wide, unblinking. 2 journalists gripped their notebooks but didn't write. Robert Chen and David Kim stood shoulder to shoulder, expressionless, though their knuckles had gone white against the ring post. Ali's diaphragm spasmed again. A thin wheeze escaped his lips. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, the only sound in the universe. Bruce's arm remained perfectly still, the follow-through of a strike that had traveled perhaps 3 inches, maybe 4. The impact had sounded like a single drum beat, sharp, penetrating, final. Ali's eyes lifted. They found Bruce's face. And in that locked gaze, something passed between them that would rewrite everything the world thought it knew about power. 48 hours earlier, crystal glasses clinked against marble countertops at Steve McQueen's Beverly Hills estate. Cigar smoke curled toward chandeliers. Midnight had already passed, but 50 Hollywood elite showed no signs of leaving. Muhammad Ali stood at the center of the main hall, 6'3" and impossible to ignore. His hands moved as he spoke, carving shapes in the air, punctuating another story about knocking out another man who thought he stood a chance. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Someone refilled his glass. "These movie fighters," Ali said, grinning wide. "All that jumping and spinning looks real pretty on screen." A producer near the fireplace leaned forward. "You hear about Bruce Lee? Says martial arts beats boxing." The room temperature shifted. Ali's grin widened, but something sharper lived behind it now. He set his glass down with deliberate care. The sound rang clear. "Bruce Lee." Ali rolled the name around like he was tasting it. "That little kung fu man thinks movies translate to reality." He spread his arms, addressing the entire room now. His voice carried weight, certainty, the kind of confidence earned through 61 professional fights. "Tell him I'll prove him wrong, anytime, anywhere." The challenge bounced off marble walls, multiplying, refusing to fade. James Coburn's sedan rolled to a stop outside Bruce Lee's Lowe's Angels home just past noon. No marble, no crowds, just the hum of sprinklers hitting concrete and the faint smell of jasmine drifting through open windows. Bruce answered the door in training clothes, face still damp from practice. He nodded once. They sat in the living room where morning light carved angles across wooden furniture. Coburn didn't cushion it. "Ali says kung fu is movie magic. Says you wouldn't last 10 seconds with a real fighter. He wants to prove it, publicly." Bruce's expression didn't flicker. His hands rested on his knees, breathing even, no tension in his jaw. Coburn had seen Bruce spar, seen him move like water through fire, but this was different. This was the calm before something irreversible. "Tell Ali I accept." Bruce's voice came out quiet, surgical, 1 strike. His choice of target, no excuses after. Coburn felt his pulse kick. He'd expected anger, maybe dismissal, perhaps a lecture on philosophy versus ego. Not this, not acceptance delivered like a signed contract. He opened his mouth, closed it, because the stillness in Bruce's tone carried a weight that made Coburn's throat tighten. This wasn't a demonstration anymore. It was a reckoning neither man could walk away from unchanged. Coburn's car disappeared down the dark street within minutes. The phone calls started immediately. Bruce to Robert Chen, hushed voices trading coordinates, not names. Angelo Dindee received Ali's instructions through a pay phone near the gym. Neutral ground, pre-dawn, absolute silence required. The rotary dial clicked through each number like a countdown timer nobody could stop. Ali's private training gym, Sunday, 4 a.m. Drew Brown scratched the address on paper, then burned it after memorizing. Only 12 witnesses. Any more and the secret would crack open like an egg, spilling across every sports page in America. 2 journalists, Frank Morrison and Gerald Hayes, received calls that carried the weight of loaded guns. Attend and swear silence or stay home and wonder forever. Morrison held the receiver against his ear, listening to the terms. No notes during, no publication ever. The oath would bind tighter than any contract. Chen contacted David Kim. Dundee briefed Brown, each conversation a locked door, each participant another keeper of something the world could never know. 48 hours separated the phone calls from the moment itself. And what those 12 pairs of eyes would witness in that gym would rewrite every assumption about power they had ever held. Darkness still owned Lowe's Angels when headlights cut the silence. Bruce Lee stepped from his car with Robert Chen and David Kim flanking him like shadows. The pre-dawn cold bit through their jackets. No words passed between them as they crossed the empty parking lot toward Ali's private gym, where a single fluorescent strip glowed behind frosted windows. Inside, the smell of worn leather and old sweat hung thick in the still air. Muhammad Ali was already there, loose in burgundy boxing shorts, bouncing on the balls of his feet, 6'3", 215 pounds, every muscle defined under the harsh overhead lights. Angelo Dundee stood near the ropes with Drew Brown, both men silent statues. Bruce moved to the center of the canvas, 5'7", 135 pounds. The contrast wasn't just visible, it was impossible. Frank Morrison gripped his notebook tighter, pen trembling against the page. Gerald Hayes beside him had stopped writing entirely, just staring at the physical mismatch unfolding before 12 sworn witnesses. Ali grinned, rolling his massive shoulders. Bruce stood motionless, hands loose at his sides, breathing steady. One man looked like he could break the other with gravity alone. But something in the stillness suggested physics had stopped obeying familiar rules. Ali spread his arms wide, exposing his midsection to the fluorescent lights overhead. His torso gleamed with a thin sheen of sweat, each abdominal muscle carved into definition, ridges of tissue hardened by a decade of punishment. George Foreman had hammered that surface. Joe Frazier had tested it, Sonny Liston before them. The muscle held. Right here, Ali said, tapping his solar plexus twice with his glove. Your best shot. Bruce stood 3 feet away, silent. Not bouncing, not rolling his shoulders or shaking out his arms. Angelo Dundee shifted his weight near the ropes, leather smell rising from the canvas beneath his shoes. Robert Chen and David Kim became statues. Frank Morrison's pen hovered above his notebook but didn't move. The gym fell silent, no hum of distant traffic, no scrape of shoe on floor, no breath. Bruce took 1 step forward, his right foot adjusted 6 inches. His weight settled into his hips, nothing else moved, no wind-up, no chambering of the fist, just positioning, his eyes fixed on the exact point Ali had indicated. The stillness before him felt different than the stillness around him, colder, sharper, like the air before lightning splits a summer sky. And none of them yet understood why. Bruce's fist was already there before anyone saw it move. No wind-up, no chambering, 3 inches of travel, maybe less. The knuckles touched Ali's solar plexus, that vulnerable hollow beneath the sternum where nerve clusters converge, and sank inward with surgical intent. The sound cracked through the gym, sharp, singular, like a drumhead struck with one precise finger. Ali's grin vanished, his mouth opened but no air came. The diaphragm, that muscular sheet controlling every breath, seized, locked. His abdominals, conditioned by thousands of body shots from Frazier and Foreman, offered no defense against this. Bruce hadn't struck muscle, he'd struck deeper. Ali's knees wobbled. The champion's hands dropped from their confident spread, clutching inward toward his midsection. His eyes widened, not with pain, but with confusion. He'd been hit by the hardest punchers on earth. None of them did this. His left knee touched canvas first. Then the right, 215 pounds of heavyweight royalty, folded, gasping. The greatest boxer alive reduced to desperate, silent gulps for air that wouldn't come. Bruce stood motionless, fist still extended, watching what no camera would ever capture. Angelo Dundee surged forward, but what he witnessed next would haunt every training session for the rest of his life. 15 seconds crawled like 15 minutes. The rasping sound filled the gym, wet, desperate, primal. Angelo Dundee surged forward, then froze mid-stride. His cornerman instinct screamed injury, but his eyes saw something else. No blood, no swelling, just Ali on both knees, clutching his midsection, lungs refusing commands. Drew Brown hovered 2 feet back, hands suspended uselessly. Then a shudder. Air rushed in. Ali's diaphragm remembered its purpose. He dragged in oxygen like a drowning man breaching the surface. The color returned to his face in patches. He rose slowly. His legs worked. His balance held, but everything in his posture had changed. Ali stared at Bruce, not anger. Not humiliation, pure bewilderment. What? His voice scraped raw. What did you just do? Bruce's expression remained neutral. I didn't strike your muscle, I struck your nervous system. Few could understand what passed between them in that moment. Ali had absorbed punishment from Frazier, Liston, Foreman, men who could crack ribs with body shots. But this was different. A single touch had hijacked the autonomic pathways that kept him breathing. Understanding flooded his face like dawn breaking. Ali extended his glove. Bruce clasped it, but what Ali said next would send shockwaves through everyone who heard it. Bruce gripped the leather glove, warm, still damp with sweat. Ali's fingers closed around his bare hand, the size difference absurd, a giant clasping a child's palm, but the pressure was even, equal. Nobody will believe this happened, Ali said. His voice carried no bravado now, just fact. Bruce met his eyes. You know the truth, that's what matters. The 12 witnesses stood motionless. No cameras, no contracts. The gym's fluorescent hum became the only sound threading through the silence. Ali released his grip, turned toward Angelo Dundee standing near the ropes. 3 hours later, in the corner of that same gym, Ali spoke words only his trainer would hear. Foreman hits harder, Angelo nodded, familiar territory. But Bruce, that little man hit smarter, shut down my breathing in 1 second, didn't bruise me, didn't break nothing. Angelo's jaw tightened. He glanced toward the door where Bruce had exited before dawn broke. What do I write in the training log? Angelo asked. Ali shook his head. Nothing. The word hung between them like a contract signed in air. Respect formed not in headlines or press conferences, but in the space where 2 men chose silence over spectacle. Few could imagine what that cost. The greatest boxer alive, holding a secret that rewrote everything the world believed about fighting. And the burden had only just begun. 1974, television cameras flash hot against Ali's face. The interviewer leans forward. Who hit you hardest, champ? George Foreman, no question. The answer rolls smooth as rehearsed lines. Studio audience applauds. Nobody mentions the name Bruce Lee, but 1981, Ali's Kentucky farmhouse. Wood smoke drifts through the living room where Angelo Dundee sits across from his fighter, both men graying now. The question surfaces again between old friends. Ali's voice drops low. That little man, 1 punch, Angelo, shut down everything. Foreman broke ribs, Frazier bruised organs. Bruce, he turned off my lungs like flipping a switch. Angelo nods, sips bourbon, says nothing. Across Lowe's Angels, Frank Morrison burns his interview notes in a metal trash can. Gerald Hayes locks his journal in a safety deposit box, instructions attached, open after my death. Robert Chen teaches students about precision over power, never naming the demonstration he witnessed. David Kim grows old carrying the memory like a stone in his chest. The 12 witnesses scatter through decades. Some die, none speak. Truth doesn't require headlines. It lives in the spaces between words, in Angelo's knowing silence, in the way Ali's eyes shifted whenever someone said the name Bruce Lee. The greatest fight nobody saw remained exactly that.